Hi, everyone. My name is Daniel Markusson, and with the help from my mentor, Maria Kant, I wrote a research paper on a minimal approach to fake news detection, more specifically, machine learning approaches. Now, why did I choose this topic? My dream job is to work at OpenAI as a researcher for ChatGPT. So I thought that this topic would be a perfect introduction into kind of the joints of both natural language processing and machine learning. Currently, I'm living in Toronto, Canada, and now enough of the formalities. You suck at identifying fake media from real media. Now, the statisticians in the audience may cringe at my methods, but I gave about 20 of my friends the same two questions, one involving a fake review for a hotel and another involving a fake and real article. My friends could only correctly classify the fake and real media 38% of the time. They would have done better if they just flipped a coin. Why do you suck? It's simple. It pays to be fake. This kid sits around in his room all day making fake news articles about Donald Trump and makes $6.8 million every year. Put in simple terms, fake news sells. How can you not suck? Well, assuming everyone in this audience is a human, you can't. My classmates are not especially stupid, and other experiments surrounding the human ability to classify fake and real news show results similar to mine. Thus, I propose another solution, one that takes the human out of the equation, AI. This leads us to our driving question. Can we analytically differentiate fake news from real news? That is, can we quantify it, basically? Let's find out. First, let's look at some numbers. The data set that I used consisted of about 400 articles, which an approximately even distribution of fake and real ones. From the data set, I found 5 key features that show large differences between fake and real articles. More specifically, the number of shares, the number of displayed authors, the length of the article, the Dahl-Child readability index, which is essentially a quantified measurement of how complex a piece of an article is, or a body of text is. And finally, the textual sentiment, which is basically how positive or negative an article is. And I've surmised that an article's demonstrated effort, that is data that shows how much effort an author put into creating the article, is a very indicative measure for whether or not an article is fake. So obviously, as you can imagine, a longer article takes more effort. An article with more authors takes more effort. An article that has more complex words takes more effort. And I found that these 5 really are able to differentiate the two types of articles. Following that, I used a popular gradient boosting model called XGBoost to create a machine learning model to use the aforementioned features to classify fake articles from real ones. Superficially, gradient boosting involves taking an initial estimate of whether or not the article is fake. So in this case, 1 is a fake article and 0 is a real article. And then preceding submodels will add or subtract to that initial estimate based on their biases. So for example, one submodel might look to see if there's like the word hate in a corpus of text. And if there is, like you see this one, it'll subtract some small number. And then the next one might have some other bias and it'll add it. And then a whole bunch of submodels later, you get an answer. And in this case, it was likely a fake article because it was closer to the number 1. Now, after all that jargon, how well does my model actually perform? The model is able to successfully differentiate fake and real articles 71% of the time, which is much better than my classmates. Even the most liberal estimates of the human ability to classify fake and real news only put it at around 66%. And it gets even better. This is the confusion matrix. Now, it looks a little intimidating at first, but what it tells you is the amount of times that the model guessed a certain way for a certain article. On the top right, we have the times that the model correctly identified a fake or a real article as real. Next to that are the times when the model thought a real article was fake. Then we have the times that the model thought a fake article was real. And finally, we have the times that the model correctly identified a fake article. So you can see On the y-axis, we have what the article actually is, and on the x-axis, we have what the model thought it was. Now, why is this good? Essentially, we can see that when the model is wrong, it errs on the side of guessing it is fake, which is a really good thing, frankly, because I'd much rather not read a real article than read a fake article thinking it was real. Now, at this point, you may be forgiven for thinking that AI is going to take over everything, but in reality, this model is pretty stupid. It fails in really bad ways that most humans wouldn't. For an example, an article that is really factually incorrect but well written will be identified as real. Which there are many examples of this in the paper, but an interesting one was there was an article that said Obama was in jail for a number of years, which is, if anyone who knows anything about American politics, is just factually false. But the article thought it was real because it was well written. It had multiple authors, multiple displayed authors, and it was complex. It had a higher sentiment score. So it matched all of the kind of characteristics that the model identified as a real article. Yeah. So where can this be used? I think that this model has a large amount of utility in its simplicity. Users can just simply input those 5 easily gathered characteristics of an article and receive a valuable insight on its validity. I think further, it could be turned into a Chrome extension similar to how you have an ad block on your computer. I think that this could be something that everyone has on their computer in order to give them an insight on whether or not an article that they're about to read is fake or real. And yeah, that's my presentation. I'd be happy to take some questions.
Thank you so much, Daniel. I have a question actually that I wish I had asked the previous two panelists, which is, um, what advice would you give a student who is starting independent research right now? Or what would you have told your former self before you started about how to do all of this?
Yeah, so I think the most important thing is to be doing something you're interested in. Because for me, doing research into this wasn't like work. It was like kind of like a break from my actual schoolwork or whatever else I was doing on the side. Like this was like, and that's why I was able to do so much within it because like just doing it was fun for me. So I think if you're doing something that's fun, you'll be able to get so much done.
Super cool. That's what it's supposed to be, is a way to explore your passions with an expert mentor. So that is so great to hear. Thank you, Daniel, for your presentation.